Hey there, how ya doing?
Maybe together we can make a mark in the stars. We embark and keep us together as the lights go dark.
Can you tell I've been watching a little too much Godless Engineer? That's, I don't know. He's got a lot of fascinating videos on flat Earth and debunking all that hoodoo stuff. But that's not why I'm here today. I am here today, so I want to talk about one of my new tools. So, I have been doing a whole buttload of forks on the bikes, and I had to completely go through the KX. I upgraded the CRF, and then the KTM and the Ninja are actually coming up on needing servicing here pretty soon themselves. So I went out and I bought myself a tool. I definitely need to get the lights done. I am working on that, putting in the shop lights, replacing the fluorescents. But I got my old handheld for now. So what I picked up to aid in my servicing is this guy right here. So it's the Pit Posse Motorsports rotating bench vise. I picked this up for $80 on Amazon. Shipped to my house in a couple days. Not very long at all. But it's for the price, it's definitely well worth what it costs. So for comparison, this little old ass Wilton that I've got right here, a little 4-inch Wilton vise, this thing cost me $100, and I've used this more than I have my actual vise. So straight out of the box, it was pretty good, but the threads were a little chunky, a little crusty. So I took the whole thing apart. I actually took some emery cloth to the slit in the tube, because there was a little burr on the inside that made rotating kind of crusty, and just ran some fine sandpaper on the inside of that. And then I took the lead screw out, and I ran that on the brush a few times. Took a file to the ridge, because the ridge was a little sharp. So anyone that's machined threads knows that if you have too sharp of a point, here, let me draw a picture here. So yeah, when you're cutting your threads, if you get too sharp of a point on both sides, it'll interfere with with the way the threads interact with each other. So like when I make threads on the lathe, after I've got them cut, I'll come through and just run a file over the tops of them, and it just takes off that sharp point and makes them interact a little better with each other. It also gives you an area for grease to kind of create a little well on the inside of the thread. So I did that, ran a file across the top of the threads, cleaned it up on the brush, and then slapped some Molly grease on it and put it all back together. And now it's pretty freaking smooth. It's not very crunchy or anything. And there's a little bit of slop in it, but I mean, you're just clamping up fork tubes and stuff. You're not, machining high tolerance parts in this thing. So that little bit of, I probably could have taken that out, but I didn't see a need for it. It's not that big of a deal. I got that a little pretty tight. You can get this thing down pretty good, and it won't rotate. It rotates just fine. Now that I took the burr off of the inside there, that easily comes out. And then, yeah, you can rotate whatever angle anywhere you want. The other thing I did was, so only one of the little acorn nuts were on the end of these rods. The rest of them were just rattling around in the box. So I took and red Loctited them and locked them down good so they won't come off. And then on the bolts on the side here, I put a little bit of blue Loctite, kind of hold those in. And then I just bolted it to this little table that I built this thing like years and years and years and years ago.
I have a weird family check.
Teenagers. Bah. Really? Is being a YouTuber really that weird of a thing these days? That was pretty... So it kind of takes a little bit of... There we go. But it's not that hard to actually clamp it down pretty tight. I had this thing to where I was hammering in the fork seals and taking out the fork seals on the forks, and it wasn't rotating. It was slipping here because it does have a rubberized pad on the inside, and I didn't want to just go whole hog on clamping down fork tubes. So there was a little bit of spinning, but I mean, really, anyone that does forks, you want to loosen your top caps before you even take them out of the triples anyways, because nothing's going to hold it better than your triple clamps. Great little tool, well worth the money. I would definitely recommend if you're going to be working on forks, especially if you're going to be working on a whole bunch of them. This really made things so much easier. So, yeah, this wasn't like a paid endorsement or anything like this. I bought that with my own money, of my own volition, because I had work that needed to be done, and it performed the way it was supposed to. I think anything you buy cheaply, any of this Chinese-made stuff, if you put a little bit of work into when you first get it, cleaning up threads and sanding down burrs and stuff like that, then I have not had any problem with any of the Chinese stuff that I've bought off Amazon. And I know that the build quality is a little lower than like if I had built it myself, but in knowing that and going into knowing that, I know what to expect and I know what to fix about it. So yeah, like I said, no issue from me. 100% would recommend. So, stay safe, have fun, talk to you later. Peace.